Good morning. Look at the weather out there. It's spring, finally, properly, February the 1st, close enough anyway.
Welcome to another episode of Toby Stupid Vlog.
Royal Mail. I feel like I spend quite a lot of time, sort of every 2 months, standing outside. Yeah, that is quite surprising. Welcome to the River Crane Walk, the middle bit which we're doing, which is the pretty bit along Crane Park, round Crane Park, that's one loop. So, has this got a "you are here"? Crane Park, you are here. The sun's come out again. This is the River Crane, which goes on and on. In fact, the River Crane runs through the grounds of Heathrow, I believe, actually, and out the other side towards Uxbridge and whatnot. This is the only way to get under the main road, and it's quite low. I'm having to duck slightly. Slightly odd. We are basically at river height. So there's the crane again. We've now walked up to this end and we're going round and down the other side, back to whence we came, back to where we started. Weather's gone blue again, which is always nice. Now we've got to get some public transport back. Hello, new week. So it's Monday, it's sunny, look, and I'm rendering videos, which is very exciting. I know you're very excited. I've got my new CTFXC versus brain cancer t-shirt, so I'm killing brain cancer just by wearing this, which is pretty impressive, and I'm going to make the most of it before the sun goes in altogether and actually get out there, because this morning is spent staring at Final Cut Pro, which is a little bit tedious after a while, and has made me need to wear these. So let's go outside. Look at this, it's definitely spring. Well, snowdrops and a few others, but still, that's flowers, that's spring. Well, the ground's ever so soft, but there's no sign of crocuses just yet. There is a lot of signs of daffodils everywhere, beginning to poke through. No flower heads as yet, but all the shoots have come through, so fingers crossed no snow. Past that will screw the whole thing slightly. So, but spring does feel like it might be a little early this year, which is no bad thing because it was unbelievably late last year. If you remember, like the leaves and whatnot and the daffodils really didn't come around until end of April, beginning of May, which is of course absurd. It's pretty much summer by then. In fact, everything happened late. I guess it's possible that winter's happening late as well and the flowers have misjudged it, but I hope that's not the case. I spoke too soon. Look, croci. There's a croci, there's a crocus, and they're all over the place. They're beginning to peek through, as you can see. So I'm in the glade. You can't really see it on the floor, but there's loads and loads of crocus shoots beginning to come up. So that will all be a sea of crocuses in probably 3 weeks or so, which will be completely awesome. Be quite hard to get in though, but yeah, definitely worth popping back to see that when it's in full bloom. And the Orchid Festival starts next week as well, so they're worth coming to see. That's part of your Kew tourism update for the week. That's about as close as you want to get to one of these parakeets, because they make quite a lot of noise. Also, they're clearly hungry. That's the kind of size bird they're designed for. Not Fatty McRednose over here. He keeps looking up, he's obviously feeling guilty. Here, you. See snowdrops in full effect there. I don't know if you can make it out over there. Look, there's loads of them. It's absolutely littered with them. Now this is where you get the bluebells later in the year, but obviously before that you get this amazing sea of white. Let's see if we can zoom in a bit. There you go. That just looks odd now. Those are last year's oak leaves, and as you can see they're slightly rusting, but basically it's green. It's a bit peculiar in this kind of landscape. There you go. That's the view of the sun setting behind the palm house at the moment. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? Don't usually get that this time of year. Look, it's awesome. It's nearly too warm, dare I say, but that's only because I'm wearing a ridiculous coat. But still, doesn't feel like winter today, which is, thank God I should say. I'm going out this evening with Adam, Tom and Steve for a bit of a catch up. Plus Steve has finally resigned from Global, so we now have 4 people who don't work for Global. It's a big achievement, I think. Look at that. That is spring right there. I actually passed a daffodil that was open, so breaking news there. Spring happening right here. So the reason that I'm so excited about a flower here or there is spring is my favourite season by far. I don't know if you agree. Most people say summer. I suppose people live in really hot climates say winter. But for me spring is first of all much more picturesque. And secondly it's the hope of summer, the anticipation. So you're not let down yet by the terrible weather. So yeah, I love spring. I love it a lot. So that's why I'm living it in February. So this is the radio centre, which I've never been to before despite 11 years in radio, but most impressively it's the belly of the beast. Look. Hello, so today's been a fun day, and I use that term loosely because Giftgaff decided not to forward me an important voicemail from Monday. I've been all the way into central London and back with all of my camera gear on a strike day. Anyway, moving on. Today is the day that all the radio stations get their radar results, i.e. Wednesday. They get them about lunchtime. It's worth noting that that information is not public until Thursday and that all the information is embargoed. But because I won't upload this until next week, I can actually speak about it now without fear of reprise, as long as there's nobody listening. Heart London. That radio station I used to work for, the one I pop in and see every Friday. It's lost a lot of listeners. To put that in context, when I was there, and it was awesome, the radio station had, let me have a look at my numbers. In fact, on the last book, just before, which ended just as I left, had nearly 2 million listeners, just shy of. As of today, it has 1.5 million, so that is quite a significant loss. Yes, a very significant loss. And yes, and the other way that radio listening is measured is hours. So one person listening for 1 hour is worth an hour. One person listening for 2 hours is worth 2 hours. 2 people listening for 1 hour is worth 2 hours, if you see what I mean. So they add up all the hours that people listen to radio stations, and that helps them sell advertising. So Heart London, when I left, and it was awesome, had just shy of 11 million hours, and now it has 7.5 million. So again, we're talking losses in 6 months of 20 to 30%, depending on which measure you use, which is absolutely enormous for a station of that size. Usually the bigger the station, the less fluctuation you see, i.e. the error margins are mitigated. Small stations tend to fluctuate a lot. It's not because the listening does, but because the way it's measured means that you can't always get the accuracy you want. So I'm glad I'm not working there today, because it wouldn't be fun. Friday's going to be, yes, woo, amazing. Oh well, right, better go. I have a text message from Rick Simmons explaining how he's moved all the boundaries of all his radio stations. I need to go and put that into Radar Smileys. Good day. It's bracing, but it's sunny. So I figure after a, half day at Global, this is a good way of unwinding. Actually stroll back along the Thames rather than walking in, which only just sort of sets you up for the day. This is an unwinding exercise. So I'm actually surprisingly warm. It's very pleasant, and you don't get to usually go for a walk at this time of day, at this time of year. It's usually so gloomy it feels like the sun's almost set. Anyway, I'm just, as you can tell, recovering from a deadly, deadly bout of man flu. It's cruel the way that such a virulent plague only targets men, isn't it? It's really Out of order, anyway. That's pretty special, isn't it? It's not quite the Grand Canal in Venice, but it's not bad. Give it 2 months and we'll have the Grand Canal in Venice instead. I like a river, me. Look, all the greenery springing up here, north side of the Thames. Near Chiswick, all the daffodils there, days away from opening. And this weather will not hold them back, I should think. So it'll look really impressive, as long as the weather holds in about a week or so. That said, in a week or so it could snow. I'm hoping that is not the case. This horrible storm weather that the southwest has been having, terrible though it is, it's not actually particularly cold, that weather coming in. So it's actually keeping the nice weather on the east side reasonably intact. So apart from that old bit of rain, the temperature hasn't really dropped. So I'm quite happy. I'm not flooded though, so there we go. So there we go, another week, and this week slightly more productive. Oh, I say slightly more productive. There was a lot of sort of things not quite happening, but a lot of useful things came of it. In fact, Monday morning I will be starting some short-term work in central London with Mr. Jamie Theakston, of all things. So that's quite exciting. So you'll see a different office for once. Shock. And yes, still got some filming things to do, although I haven't got the date yet, which involves pointing a camera at 80s pop stars. So that should be good. And the usual global business. I didn't film it this week because, you know, watching Nick Snaith failing to record a split link really isn't that exciting to watch after about the 900th time. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.